Hey everybody, welcome to Aniki, the podcast about anime with two brothers. I'm Ben.
And I'll never be half the man Hiroto Suwa is.
Dude, Suwa is the boy.
He's the best, right?
He is our boy,
okay, so,
hands down, main character.
So, do you remember in Nozaki-kun, with the dating sim, on how there's the protagonist's best friend?
That's Suwa, yeah.
That is Suwa to a T. Annie still like I really like Orange. Like you may or may not, sure, fine, whatever. But Annie is like, Suwa deserves so much better. It's like, Suwa does deserve better. He deserves the happiest life known to mankind.
He really does. So we'll get to Orange in a bit. What have you been up to since last we spoke?
I've been churning through Kingdom Hearts. I'm on the card game one. It's not very good.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is that the PSP one or the
No. This is the one that was
on.
No, this was the one that was on Advance, Game Boy Advance, because that's how old freaking Kingdom Hearts is.
Did you watch that Dunkey video I sent you?
No, I haven't watched that Dunkey video.
Oh, you should. Here's how ridiculous the Kingdom Hearts storyline is.
It's Banu News.
You sort of hinted at how Banu News it was, but then I watched Dunkey's video on stuff, and what's the one guy that has like 8 different? There's 8 different people named the same thing. It's like Soren or something.
Ansem.
Ansem. There's like
no. There's 1,000 Ansems for no reason. No reason.
So Dunkey did like a 3 or 5 minute video trying to explain Kingdom Hearts, and when he got to the end, I was like,
Moody.
I don't know if all of that was mostly true or he made the whole thing up. I can't tell.
It was probably completely true. Now, I mean, you can always go listen to Kingdom Smarts. I think they're finally started the second game, and they're like, 70 episodes in?
Oh my.
Oh yeah, no, it's Banu News. So, Chain of Memories is a retelling of the first game with more supplemental material.
But the first one is fine. Why do you have to mess with that one? I could understand that one.
Oh, good lord. You don't even... It's complicated.
It's just too much.
But at the end of the day, the biggest problem with Chain of Memories is its combat system is card-based, and it's just irritating to deal with. Yeah, it's very irritating. I put it on baby mode, and it's kind of fun most of the time, but once bad guys can use slights against you, it's very irritating again. It's like Squeenix puts like their C-team like combat designers on Kingdom Hearts, and it's like, here, make a weird new combat system to try out before we put it in a Final Fantasy. And they're like, okay. So they just put all sorts of weird combats into it.
Well, that, and they're probably spending all their money on writing books and supplemental material trying to explain what the heck they just made.
Oh, no, they don't do that.
No?
Ben, no. No, if they gave you supplemental material, that would be nice. Oh, no. They just make more games and expect you to piece it all together yourself.
It's your job. Don't make us do it.
Oh, yeah, no,
it's like those take and bake pizza places. Here, you take it. Now it's your problem. I ended up watching the entire second season of My Hero Academia.
Oh, yeah, that season's pretty okay. Third is good for half of it, and then I stopped because it's like too much.
So I will say that the second season is a bit drawn out.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a shonen.
It is a shonen. I liked the tournament. That was fun.
The school stuff was very, very good. The non-school stuff in second season was a little hit or miss.
Yeah. Grape-kun became like the absolute worst, and I hated every second he was on the screen.
He is actually the worst.
Because in the first season, he's annoying, and you're like, ugh, but what in the world did they do?
Anime has been around for like 60 years, and like they've in 60 years they have developed the worst anime
character.
No, he's just the worst anime.
Oh, just
he
by
himself is the worst anime. Yeah.
It's like when he had to take on the one teacher, Midnight or whatever. I'm like, this is
I don't remember.
The frickin' worst. Why?
Oh no, he is just the worst.
Why?
Just the worst.
But I will say that the entire second season, long as it was completely worth the fight between Deku and All Might.
Oh yeah, no. There's lots of great moments.
It was like the whole season was just for that moment. And I was totally okay with that when I got there.
Oh yeah, no, there's all sorts of great fights. Like, here's the thing. It's like Naruto, but the characters are a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the fights are better animated. But that's just because we live in 2018 and not 2008.
Wow. They have the benefit of hindsight.
They do. Well, and just better animation in general.
That's true. I did read another book.
Oh?
I read Watership Down.
You know, I've never read that. I hear it's about sad rabbits.
Well, here's the thing. We grew up reading Redwall and all that stuff, right?
Yeah,
And the Raptor Red books. So we're
I like
in Narnia.
Red.
We're used to talking animals and whatnot. It's fine.
Yeah.
But my entire life, I've never read Watership Down. And through that whole time, I've been told nothing but, oh, I let my kids watch Watership Down at Easter and then they were scarred for life. Or, oh, this is like the saddest thing with rabbits.
Yeah, that's all I know of it is sad rabbits.
Right, sad rabbits. So I read it.
Yeah.
And at the end, I was like, this is a really good kid's book. Because it's about rabbits. They go on an adventure.
I assume one dies or something?
Well, I don't want to spoil anything, but no. I mean, there are rabbits who die, yes. But are they rabbits that you care about? No.
Well, I mean, Hedwig did die that one time in Harry Potter, and I guess some people actually thought that was sad and not like, well, okay, I guess J.K. claims 7 people die in this book, but one literally has a replacement standing right next to him, and another one was an owl, so I'm not quite sure these count.
You know what's funny about that is I remember talking to you about this when I read the books. Hedwig dies, and she sort of just goes on from there, but apparently it's way worse in the movie because it's during an action scene.
He just gets insta-gibbed by a sniper or something?
No, like, the owl's in the car, or on the bike, or whatever, and then you know that. Then a fight ensues, Harry leaves, and the bike explodes. But there's not like...
explodes?
Well, the bike explodes.
Is there a puff of feathers?
No, it's just like, you were expected to know that Hedwig was there, but it's never brought up again. Yeah, so the bike just explodes, and
I still say if she had any balls whatsoever, she would have killed Hagrid, because he's like the only secondary character that's worth a damn at that point. And it's like, come on, if you want to make me feel something, you're gonna have to kill someone that like matters.
I totally agree.
And like Hagrid was the one, right? Because he's the shadow mentor of the series anyway.
Yeah,
like there's Dumbledore, but really it's Hagrid.
It is.
Like that's the real father figure.
But everybody wanted him to have a happy ending. So
I mean, you do, and that's why you murder him. Because otherwise you don't feel anything. It's the Mai-Hime problem all over again.
We always come back to Mai-Hime.
It always comes back to Mai-Hime. It was very trying. It really taught me a lot about how you do drama and how you just decide to just like kick you in the nards when you've decided it's like, you know, drama's cool and all, but what if we ignore that? It's like, then what was the point?
We killed all our characters, but now we've only got one left. What is she gonna do for half a season?
Well,
I know.
At least with Orange, you know, you have the bittersweetness of spoilers. They win at the end of Orange because, of course, they do. But like, you still have like Timeline A, where it's like, well, that's a pretty bittersweet ending, except for Sua, who has the best ending both times.
So I guess with that, we should actually talk about Orange. So this week, we decided to make ourselves sad and watch Orange. Now, for some reason, I thought, as Crunchyroll told me, you're watching Orange, maybe you would prefer to watch Citrus, which is in the same genre, right?
I say it's just because it's the same type of fruit. It's gotta be, right? Orange is a citrus. Citrus is called citrus, so it's gotta be the same.
So you've got, on the one hand, you have your high school drama, will they, won't they politics, and time-traveling letters, all full of regret. And on the other hand, you have incestuous lesbians. So, you know.
It's basically the same.
It's, totally the same. It's fine.
It's basically the same.
So, Orange. Good old Orange. It was a manga from, when was the manga? When did that come out? Like 2012-ish?
It won a couple of awards, both here and in Japan. It was on the bestsellers list, on the New York Times bestselling manga list for a while. Came out in 2012, spring 2012.
Yep, and then the anime came out in 2016, so this isn't too old.
Yep. I feel like I think we should at least do the disclaimer of, you know, this is a story about suicide, and the correct thing that should have happened in the show is you tell the suicidal kid's de facto parent and get his ass in therapy. They do not do this in the show. That's a conceit of the show, and we're just going to have to move on and accept that about life in general.
I may have made some very scathing remarks at the end of my notes about that.
Yes. So that's an important caveat that we should just be upfront about. The other important caveat is We are two emotionally damaged young men. Therefore, we will hide all of our pain and sorrow with tasteless jokes about suicide.
Hooray!
So be ready for that. If that's not what you're in for, that's fair.
Thank you for your trigger warning.
Well, suicide's a touchy one, so...
I guess we had to have a trigger warning in our show at some point.
At some point.
And now we've got one.
This one's more reasonable. I don't mind it with some things. Like horror. Horror stories can do that.
I suppose.
Like No Sleep always does that. And that's good, because I don't want to listen to impreg stories, because no thank you.
Ew, gross. No.
Anyway, yeah, they're popular, though. There's this parasite living inside me, and it's gonna... I don't like that.
Okay, so back to Orange, which is way better than that. It's a show about... There are a group of 5 friends who, when they are about 28, decide, you know what, we had this friend in high school who killed himself, and that has just wrecked all of our lives in some way.
Well, I wouldn't say wrecked, but it has affected all of their lives.
Greatly affected.
And they remember it and regret it.
And so they decide to try to send messages back to the past, to 10 years ago, to their high school selves, to hopefully, maybe, save their friend Kakadu's life. Cue show. That's the synopsis.
There's a conceit here. There are several.
One is time travel is a thing.
Yes.
We'll not talk about that until the end of this podcast. But yeah, there is time travel, kind of. And also much drama. There's a lot of drama.
Lots of drama. Lots of teens not expressing feelings.
Yeah. So what were your overall impressions of Orange?
I've always enjoyed Orange. I like it. There's some things that are, a little problematic, but some of that has to do more with Japan being a little weird about these sorts of issues.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you're not supposed to ask for help about things, and you're supposed to take care of things in groups rather than out groups, and that's slightly problematic. But giving some of those problems, I think it handles its material fairly well for what it's trying to do, because it's an overall positive message and about, a group of friends coming together and actually like caring deeply about somebody and learning about trying to get them to open up about sharing one's burdens. And that's good.
I did feel like the point of the show was to try to tell youth that it's okay to open up to others and you don't have to just not bother everyone, because that is the Japanese ethic if there was one. Don't be a bother.
Yes. Don't be a bother. And this tries very hard to crack that in a way, and it's very good, and it does that well.
It does assume that you have friends, so
yes,
there is that.
Yeah, well. Like the scene, Kakeru and Naho, the OTP of the show, well, it's the pairing of the show. The OTP is Suwa and happiness itself.
Agreed. With the mattress?
This with the mattress, that encapsulates the show. That's definitely like the show in a nutshell.
Because it's like carrying a burden, see? Because they're all carrying it. It's not just
And it's easier if they all do it together.
Yeah, and then he can
we all open up and share and talk about our feelings, even though none of these teens talk about their feelings. They talk about some feelings, but not other feelings, because they're teenagers.
So
hey, Ben,
yes.
Ben, if I hold out my hand to you, what do you think I should do?
I'm going to go, hey, what's that for? And then maybe slap it away or ignore you. I'm not sure. One of the two.
Sounds about right.
So my overall impressions.
Yes.
I will say 2 very positive things about the show.
Sure.
One is, if you like character dramas that are will they, won't they, and I know there are many people who do, this is a really good show for that. That's one thing. The other thing is Suwa is your boy, and he is like the best dude in the show, and he should have been the main character. I'm pretty sure he still is the main character in my eyes, but he deserves everything, and he should just own.
There is a side story manga about Suwa, and it is pretty good.
He should just be the hero of every timeline, because he is the bro to end all bros.
There are 2 secrets about the show. The 2 secrets are Suwa is your best boy, and the true pairing that's the best is Hagita/Azu.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that to happen, and it didn't, and I'm very upset about that.
That's the secret of the show, are those 2 things. Those 2 facts make you like it a lot more.
They'll get you through it. However, with those 2 things being said, if you're like me, there are a lot of things that I don't like about the show that mostly are teenagers are stupid.
Oh yeah, no, They dumb.
They are so dumb. Well, we'll get to her in a second. They're stupid. And the second thing is I like sci-fi a lot, and I've seen a lot of time travel shows.
Look, it's a conceit of the premise.
There are good ways of doing it. There are bad ways of doing it.
There's a conceit of the premise here.
And then
you just gotta go with it.
And then there are, I don't know what I'm doing, but this sounds like a good idea ways of doing it. And that's the way the show is.
Yeah, it is. It's a conceit of the premise. You just gotta roll with it.
The author put it in there without much thought.
I was talking to one of my friends at work about it, and he's like, I really liked Orange, except that weird time travel bit where they try to explain. It's like, look, it's a conceit of the premise. You just deal with it.
Let's not talk about that part.
It's not important. What's important is they got letters from the future. That's all that matters.
Okay.
Don't think about it too hard.
So with that out of the way, here are all of your spoiler warnings, because everything to do with time travel and all that is obviously going to be spoilerific. So just watch it if you're going to watch it. Don't.
Yeah, it's very good. Well,
you guys do you.
It's enjoyable. It's a good watch, and it's short.
It's short.
It packs a lot of feels into 13 episodes.
For me, a lot of those feels were frustration.
I mean, that's fair. These teens are kind of bad. You know, you should go see somebody's parent and or guardian and tell them that you think that somebody has suicidal thoughts.
Maybe.
And get their butt into therapy. That is what you should do. But setting that aside.
So I think first we should talk about we should talk about the 6 main characters real quick.
Yes.
First of all, you have Naho, who is the show's main character.
She's a bit of a dip, but I do like her.
She is a dip. I explained Naho to a friend of mine today at lunch.
All right.
And I said, you know the protagonist of a harem anime?
Yeah.
Naho is dumber than that.
She's not that bad.
She is real dumb. Now she gets better throughout the show. I will grant. By episode 11, she's got her stuff pretty much together.
Here's my thing about Naho. She very much exemplifies a teen with low romantic self-esteem. She is so dead set that nobody would ever love her in that sort of way, that she is just like, couldn't possibly be me the entire time. When it's like, dude, it's obvious that it's you. It's like, yeah. Oh, she gives Katniss Everdeen a run for her money. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
You've read The Hunger Games, right?
I've not, but I'm aware.
Oh, yeah. Katniss real dumb. She's so emotionally stunted. And what's good about the books, right, is it's from her point of view, and the author is good enough to let you know early on that this narrator is a little unreliable in a good way, not the like cop-out way. Uh-huh. So you reading her thoughts, you're like, she dumb. when it comes to romance, she dumb, and so is Naho.
So Naho is a character who, like you said, has a lot of emotional problems. She has not come into her own. She lacks confidence, and she's not sure what she wants. And even if she does know what she wants, she has no idea how to get it.
Well, because she doesn't want to be a bother. She doesn't want to bother people.
But let me reiterate how dumb she is. I've got a couple examples here of how dumb she is.
Okay.
At the start of the show, she gets a letter from the future. And it proves itself to her, this is a legit letter from the future. Right?
I mean, fair.
It breaks down all these different events that happen over the course of a couple days. She knows this thing is legit. So what would you do in a situation where you're basically handed a guide to life from the future, even if it is relating just to one person?
Humor me.
You read it. What you do?
Yeah, but she doesn't want to spoil it.
What you do? See, if you got a letter that says, "Hey, you need to save Kakeru, your friend," you read it. Not part of it, not the first page, or even part of the first page. You read the whole thing first to get a general idea of what in the world's going on.
No, it's cheating. You don't want to know what you don't want to ruin the mystery of life.
The mystery of life is Kakeru is going to die, and I think you'd lead with that fact. Hey,
you think you would? Yeah, I mean,
your friend Kakeru there, he gonna be dead pretty soon. So here's what you do.
When you read it the first time, you wouldn't know who Kakeru is.
That is true, but maybe you lead somewhere on the first page within the first day. Hey, not just keep an eye on him. Or just say, hey, don't invite him today. Seriously. You could say, hey, don't invite him today because if you do, his mom's going to kill himself.
Yeah, but would you listen to that either, to be honest?
I might. Because just
No,
the
you
word
wouldn't.
seriously, probably not. And they didn't, obviously. So maybe
See,
go
I
with a
wouldn't.
different tactic.
I mean, to be fair, they all tried. So that's 5 tries and none of them did it.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't. You wouldn't be like, I got a letter from the future, obviously.
Okay, so that's one.
So,
Right.
but sure.
One. Okay, so later, things have gone by. Emotions have developed on all sides. And there is a whole episode dedicated to will they, won't they. That's very specific, will they, won't they. It's the cultural festival episode. And there's a lot of, hey, Kakadu, of the 3 of us, if you're going to date one of us, who would it be? And he's like, I'm not going to tell you right now, but I know who it would be, but I won't tell you. Naho herself says, oh yeah, there's a boy I like. Kakadu later says, oh yeah, I really like you. If there was somebody that I would go out with, it would be you. And she basically says, I love you to him. And then he looks off in the distance and says, actually, I really do love somebody. And Naho, we hear her thoughts, goes, I wonder who it is. Who could it be? I don't know.
I know, right? But again, I think this is 100% teen feelings, though. Because I'm pretty sure every teen ever has done that same sort of dumb bullshit, where it's just like, we obviously like each other. Because again, like to all of their friends, to literally every other one in the friend group, they're like, these 2 idiots like each other, but neither of them will admit it to each other.
But
and
even when they do,
too dumb to catch on.
Even when they do, they're like, yeah, but does he really? I'm not sure. I just don't know.
It's hard to know. It's hard to know these things. How can you know a man's heart? They are a miserable pile of secrets, to be fair.
Yeah. So, and here's my third thing, and you've already mentioned this, is if a man you have admitted to liking and he's admitted to liking you, and you're not going out because that would be stupid. We'll just admit we love each other.
Yeah.
We don't want to hurt each other by going out. We'll just not do that. That'll be way easier if we just
we'll just
suppress everything.
The whole problem. Yeah, it's way simpler.
And he's very sad, and he holds out his hand to you. You know what you do? You do what I wrote down in episode 8 in all caps, and I bolded it just for extra emphasis. You take his goddamn hand.
Please hold hand. And again, to be fair, everyone else in their friend group is like, Naho, you dumb. So the show does acknowledge the fact that Naho, a bit dumb.
Yeah, she's
just a bit dumb.
Really dumb.
Just a bit dumb.
I should point out that I had an alternate title for Orange, and that was Second Guessing the Animation.
Yeah, that's true.
Are you sure we should do this? I just don't know. Maybe I'll have regrets about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we get to Kakadu, who is...
Okay. Who needs to get in his butt into therapy ASAP.
He needs to be saved. It's very important that he is saved.
He needs to get his butt into therapy.
He's originally from Tokyo. His mom and dad are divorced. On the first day of school, he decides to go with his new friends on a half-day trip around town. And in doing so, he ditches his mom, and his mom kills herself, which leads to everything else in the show.
I would say, what would it be? Because, like, he's not clinically depressed. He's not depressed in a way that I think medication would help. He is emotionally damaged, where his mother was definitely, like, clinically depressed, right?
Well, we're not really sure what was wrong with her. We just know that she had mental issues.
Yeah, no joke.
We do find out later that he had a very traumatic childhood, at least from his perspective. Like, he was bullied. He thought that he was the reason that his parents divorced. He thought that he was the reason that his mom suddenly moved. He thought his mom was overbearing. Like, everything he thought in life was his fault. He's not exactly the most stable person to begin with.
No, he's not.
And then that happens, which precipitates all the other problems. But in one timeline, he ends up killing himself, leading the rest of the group to write letters to the past selves to save him in the timeline in which this show takes place.
Timeline B.
The prime timeline.
We really should name these timelines. Maybe we should name them... I don't know. We need something clever.
So we have the original and we have the new one.
Can we just say A and B?
Well, which one's A?
A is the first go-round of the timeline, so that would be the one in which they write the letters.
Okay. So you have timeline A, which has letters, and timeline B, which has letters. Very confusing.
Okay. Well, let's go with timeline Sua and timeline Kakeru. How about that?
Okay, I'm down with that. Speaking of our boy Sua, Suwa
he's such the best.
is Naho's friend.
He's a good boy. He's a good boy.
He's like the best soccer player in the school until Kakeru shows up.
And then he's also the best.
And in Suwa timeline, he comforts Naho after Kakeru kills himself, and they end up getting married.
And after Naho gets in a fight with Kakeru.
Yes, that's when they originally start having feelings for each other.
Yep.
But it doesn't really take off until after tragedy strikes.
Yeah.
Anyway, they end up getting married. They have a child together. They seem pretty happy until they start talking about the past.
Yeah, but then they're both sad in kind of equal measure, so it's okay.
He sends himself a letter as well. Not only does he send himself a letter, but pictures of his happy life with Naho, which is rubbing the salt in the wound. Because then because they were the future people were hoping that they would save Kakeru, but Naho would maybe end up with Suwa still.
Probably end up with, oh yeah.
But our boy Suwa here is like, you know what?
He's such a bro.
I apparently already had a future with Naho. There's some me out there living that.
And he likes Naho so much that he is willing to be like, she should be with Kakeru.
And I'll give this show a lot of credit. There were a couple times where I thought that Suwa would lose his nerve and just do the typical thing anyway. And at every turn, he's like, "No, I'm gonna make sure these two get together because
I'm gonna make sure that she is the happiest by getting these two together, even though I like her.
I like her a lot.
What a man Suwa is. He's a good boy."
And he swears to everybody else, "I'm gonna make sure they get together." And everyone else is like, you say you're gonna root for him, but we're rooting for you really? Too. You know?
Like, yeah.
He's like, "No, I mean it. I've already got mine apparently in the future, which I'll never know.
But one of me does.
But it'll work out. It'll be fine."
He has that picture of him, his Naho wife, and his child. And he'll
good enough for him, I guess.
That will be enough for him. Oh, what a man.
You're right. He is Senpai from Nozaki-kun's dating sim.
He is, isn't he?
Oh.
You just need to write a story about him. He was there for you all along, Naho.
Oh, Suwa. You deserve better. Anyway, so next we have Takako, who is the tall girl with a hime cut.
Yeah, it's bad.
I was kind of disappointed that she got almost no screen time.
Yeah, she is. She and Azu are the two meddlers, and they're very good.
But I love Azu at the end. Yeah. But I'm and Takako is there, I guess.
Well, here's the thing. The problem with Takako is she peaks early because she's like the best girlfriend who will go to bat for Naho at any time.
Yeah, that's true.
And she peaks early because of the Ueda incident. And all her stuff with Ueda is amazing. So, but that's really early on. So it's harsh.
Yeah, the Ueda thing like peaks out around like episode 3 or 4, and then you got 9 more episodes.
That's when Takako you really get Takako.
Or Takako. I felt like she also deserved better, at least from the show.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot we can say about her.
Yeah, she's cool though, and she's just that good friend that'll go to bat for you in a violent way, in a good violent way. Don't get me wrong.
But she knows when to pull her punches, which is good.
She's the scary friend, and everyone needs a scary friend.
Up next, I think, is the best Dark Horse character.
Oh yes, he's the best shadow character.
Hagita.
He's got the dry sense of humor,
is amazing.
He's the best. He's very good.
It's like anytime you need somebody to move the plot along, he is there for you.
Oh yeah.
Oh, these two are taking way too much time to like admit their feelings. I'm just going to say it out loud, and then we're still going to take two episodes to figure it out for themselves.
It's very good. And he's got a good dry sense of humor, and he knows what he's doing. He likes to act like he's sort of like screwing up when he like just blurts out how people feel about each other. Oh, but he knows.
He knows all the time.
He knows.
He is the true puppet master in the situation. He only ever says a few lines, but they're very short, and they're
always good.
Very plot moving.
And he has his wonderful foil in his definitely girlfriend.
And wife, hopefully. Who knows?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, in the follow-up manga, Orange Mirai, there's a flash forward of timeline Kakeru 10 years later, and Hagita and Azu are finally dating in that one.
Hooray!
Because they should be.
They should be. I'm surprised they aren't now.
Because
so is everybody else.
They absolutely are. And really, they are dating now, but they just... Hagita refuses to admit they're dating now.
See, the way I see their relationship is they are actually in love, but they're not doing the
100%.
dating thing. That's just how they are.
Yeah.
They may not, I mean, they admit it all the time, but anytime they admit it and people are around, they instantly like do a double back on that.
Well, really, just Hagita is the one that doubles back. Azu just tortures him about it because she knows that he will say no every time.
She knows she can get a rise out of it.
It's very good. The best part is Hagita entering the beauty contest.
Oh yeah, and he got one vote.
He was in the male side, and he got one vote, and he was very mad because his joke was he wanted to come in dead last, but Azu votes for him.
He still came in dead last, but he wanted a 0.
He wanted that 0.
She's like, sorry, I thought you were hot. Like, you've ruined everything.
You've ruined my life. Very good. That's the true best couple.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have the whole Naho love triangle all you want, but the true best couple is Hagita Azu.
So I thought I would dislike Azu, especially in the first couple episodes, because she's that super ginky character. And the one girl in the Antarctica show was a lot like that.
Oh,
the shopkeeper girl.
Yep.
She was essentially the same character, just all excited all the time.
Yeah, very, very simply.
But Azu, she never changed, but for some reason I liked her at the end. I don't know why. I think she just felt like...
I don't know, because I think you feel that, like, why she's like, I don't know. How to describe it.
I can't put my finger on why I ended up liking her at the end.
I think throughout the show, she comes across as being very genuine.
I think
where usually the sort of ginky character won't. But she just comes across as she is a genuinely, like, peppy person.
Well, and I think the other thing is, especially in the latter half of the show, she ends up showing, like, really deep caring for other people, and she knows when not to be cheery. So it's not just like this thing she puts on all the time. Like, she is cheery, but she also knows that there are times when that is not called for.
Yeah, because she, again, it comes down to her coming across as just being a very genuine person.
Right.
Both in knowing when to back off and when she is being her usual chipper self. Really, the great strength of the show is that the fact that this group of 6 friends really feels like a good group of 6 friends. They feel very genuine and real. And a good little gang, especially for the relay race part. Oh, very good.
So the relay race is probably my favorite part of the show. I think that was
it's really where the meat of it is.
Yeah,
right?
Where of all the places in this show that I knew I was supposed to have feels for the group and I didn't, the relay race, I was like, all right, I feel it now. I feel it right now in this race.
These guys are legit. Yeah, and that's really it.
Yeah. So how about we split the show into the 2 timelines and talk about that. So we have Timeline Suwa, the original timeline, the timeline where Kakeru meets a sad end. I mean, not a whole lot to be said there because we only get to catch it in glimpses and what we learn from the letters. His mom dies, kills herself.
Yeah.
And then because of all the I don't want to be a bother to anybody feelings from everybody, he ends up not really feeling a part of the group. There's a lot of miscommunications, more miscommunications between him and Naho. And then it culminates in a fight. She never actually admits her true feelings to him. And then he eventually finds out that his mom wrote him an apology text, basically a suicide letter.
Yeah.
And that puts him over the edge and he drives out into the middle of the street.
Yeah.
On his bike.
Well, the big thing is, especially, so in episode 12, you really get the full, like, timeline Suwa.
You finally get his thoughts in it.
Yeah, and you just really get the depression spiral sort of deal, where once you start going down this road of things being my fault, I find more and more reasons why it's all my fault, and more reasons why I shouldn't open up, and more reasons why I should just gloss over everything and stay happy so the people around me don't get sad, because then it's my fault they're sad, and then everything just starts spiraling out of control.
The most poignant moment in that episode, when we find out his inner thoughts during that time, is when he actually does go and meet those friends from Tokyo.
Yes.
And he says,
that's very real, right?
Like, he tells them the truth. The reason I didn't do soccer is my mom killed herself and I felt it was all my fault and I've thought about dying and I just don't want to play soccer anymore. And as he's looking at all their shocked faces, he's imagining his group of friends back at home.
Yeah.
And he's like, should I have told them? I don't know if they'll laugh or not. And then his friends from Tokyo go, oh man, that's a good joke. Yeah, let's go in there. And he's like, Yeah, they did laugh. I figured that. I'm glad I didn't tell the others. Like,
Yeah.
I know that feels. I've been there. I think everybody has.
Yeah, it's very poignant and it feels very genuine, and like it also shows since most of the show you're dealing with timeline Kakeru, the main timeline of the show. You can really see the big difference, right? Where this group of friends has really built up far more trust in each other and have opened up with each other more to the point where Kakeru can admit these dark things about him to his friends.
Mm-hmm.
So that he's not nervous about how they will react, because by the end he knows sort of how they will react to these things. And most of that comes out during the relay race episodes, which is why like that sort of like right before the climax of the show part is really where the whole meat of the emotional growth for most of the characters is.
After Kakeru's death, we're not really sure what happens. We do know that Naho and Suwa start dating. Then there's a big gap in our knowledge. And then 10 years later, the group gets back together to open a time capsule that they left to themselves.
Yeah, because they kind of drift apart.
They did think that Kakeru's death was an accident, but when they look at their letters to themselves, almost all of them are, hey, future self, I hope you're doing well, I hope you're still doing this thing, da-da-da-da-da. And they get to Kakeru's, and his is, I had a really great time hanging out with all of you. Thanks for everything.
I hope you guys are doing well in the future. That I'm super not in.
He knew he wasn't going to be here.
That can't be good.
That's not good. So they realize that it was intentional. They go to his grandma's house. They learn that, yes, it actually was suicide. And she gives them the whole story. And then they go out, lament about it for a bit, and then realize, hey, maybe we could, like, send our letters to ourselves in the past by throwing them in the ocean.
By throwing them in the Bermuda Triangle. Look, don't worry about it.
Let's not talk about that part yet.
don't worry about it.
Here's why I bring up those guys. Is I had a hell of a time with, do I think future people, especially future Naho is good people? I don't know. At the beginning of the show, when they had not
good people.
At the beginning of the show, when they hadn't yet established the idea of parallel worlds, and I'm still not sure about that. But let's say that I just did not know about that at the time.
Sure.
Here's the problem: is we're shown in episode 1, she's married and she has a kid, and as far as I'm concerned, watching it, there are no parallel worlds. So future Naho is trying to influence the past, and by doing so, she is, first of all, trying to erase the pain of her own life. There's a lot of that in that letter. Mm-hmm. And that pain got her to where she is now with husband and child.
Yeah.
She's intentionally trying to deviate the past, which she knows may ruin the family she started. So she's basically jeopardizing her baby's life for, hey, you should save this guy I once knew. Yes, he had a hard life, but is that one life more important than these two? And even when we get the full story of their reasoning in episode 12, they're still not 100% sure that they're not going to screw up what they have. Because the show only presents two options. It's either parallel worlds or there's a paradox and it won't matter. Not the third option where they actually do influence the past and it erases them now.
Yeah, I think that the characters in Timeline Suwa, I don't think that any of them actually honestly expect it to work. I think they just think of it as a way to ease their current pain. I think that's honestly what
probably
it is.
Right.
And I think you definitely see that in the last episode a lot, where they talk about it, and I think that you can really tell that they have no illusions that this will work. They're just doing it because they feel it'll make them feel better in the moment. And they could never know it would work or not. And that's part of the thing, is that it just gives them hope that maybe there's a place out there where this kid they knew 10 years ago is alive and well.
Yeah,
and that brings
I think
them
you're
comfort.
right. I think that the fact that the show says that they don't know, but we don't find that out.
Never know.
We don't find that out until the last 2 episodes. So up until then,
well, except I think it does do that narratively.
Maybe.
So it does it narratively by revealing parts about timeline Suwa intercut with timeline Kakeru. And by doing that, it gives you without telling you exactly, it's showing you that the future timeline that the letters are from is not changing. It's actually kind of clever in that regard. By setting them side by side,
perhaps
it's letting you know at each junction that the future is not changing based on their actions.
there is that, but you could also just say that the original timeline, with respect to the new timeline, is actually happening in the past. You could make that argument, and that's kind of what I was going on. And I just assumed up until episode 12, what I was assuming was at some point they would discover a tried and true way, or at least a specific way of, hey, if we do this thing, these letters will get to the past. The show did a good thing in mitigating some of this by saying, yeah, they just sort of cast them in the ocean and hope for the best. And it so happened that they actually did get there. So some of the culpability, I think, is mitigated from the first couple episodes. But because I didn't know that until episode 12, I grew to not like future people because I saw decisions being made based on that information that seemed detrimental to, I mean, at the very least, a child's life.
I mean, that's fair.
That was probably my biggest problem with the show overall, is I did not like the future versions of anyone, because either they were dumb and didn't know what they were doing, which they kind of ended up being, or they were trying to undo normal everyday things that happen to lead to tragedy, and they're trying to alleviate themselves of some of that responsibility by foisting it onto their past selves. Now, the show didn't go that way, but up until the latter half of the show, I didn't know, and it was, one or the other.
I don't know. I dislike that read of it, simply because that's like saying if I were to write a letter to my past self and just like chuck it out a window, somehow I have ill intent.
No, I'm saying if I knew that at the beginning of the show, but then yeah, you're right.
Oh, I understand, but I mean, again, like the conceit of the show is you're going to have to like deal with the fact that, like, how to word this correctly.
No, I'm ultimately agreeing with you, but I didn't get that intention until the show was over. So I had to live with that intention until I got there.
I think you can assume watching the show after the first 2 episodes that no one in the future has any ill intent.
No, I don't think, like I said, I don't think they had malice. I don't think that was it. I think it was either some way to alleviate their own culpability and regrets, because they brought up regrets a lot. So they were trying to alleviate their own regrets by trying to get their past selves to fix things for them. Or they were very sorry that a thing happened and they weren't trying very hard to fix it and doing things in the dumb way, which, like I said, is ultimately what happened. Because they didn't know this would work, so they wrote it in maybe this will work, I don't know.
Well, they won't.
And they won't.
I mean, that's the thing, though, right? Is that they know going in that there's no way they'll ever know.
Yeah. So I guess that takes us to the new timeline, in which they actually do have foreknowledge. Each of them has...
They do. Now, one of the nice things I really like about this is how Naho's letter is way more detailed than everybody else's, and they give a good reason in episode 1 as to why. And it's because she had a nice detailed Nikki that she could just go back to 10 years later and be like, oh yeah, all that. It's good.
Yeah, some of it.
I like that.
Some of that letter, I just assumed she had ripped pages out of her diary and just stuck them in there.
I know, right? Because like everybody else's letter is like 3 pages, and hers is like a freaking tome.
Kind of sad that she didn't send herself some pictures. I kind of figured that she might, if knowing that Suwa did. I was like, why didn't Naho?
Now, if there is one thing that gives like future Naho a black mark against her, is how she super never mentions that she and Suwa are married.
Yeah, that's kind of telling, isn't it?
Though I do also really like how she does say multiple times in there. Now, and, well, there is 2 readings of why she doesn't say that. It could be one is a bad way, and another one is she wants it to be very natural.
Mm-hmm.
Because she knows how she fell in love with him slowly over time, and she wants to preserve that sort of like slow build of that. Because she even says in Timeline Suwa, there's no way I would ever marry Kakeru. I would always be with Suwa no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's definitely she wants to preserve that. Because there's several times in the letter where she's just like, Notice how Sua is always there for you and is super cool and awesome for you.
Yeah, I did notice that. It's like a
Please thank him for all the times that you've noticed that he is on your side and is the broriest bro to ever bro for you.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
So I think very much that it's more in that vein where she wants to preserve a certain mystique about the future. She doesn't want to give herself way too much foreknowledge. As opposed to Sua, who's just like, sweet bro, check this out. You're married to Naho. Living the dream, am I right?
I did like
Nice.
Hagita's letter to himself. That's pretty awesome. She said it was
Which part?
It was basically just, okay, this is gonna happen on this day, this is gonna happen on this day, this is gonna happen on this day, you should do this, you should do this, like very cut and dry. It wasn't like Naho's I felt like this on this day and this happened.
Yeah.
Hagita's is like, yeah, you should just do this on that day.
Yeah.
Trust me, bro. He's like, okay.
All right. Seems reasonable to me.
Seems legit. They all end up getting letters, although you don't find out about the other letters until like what?
Which is a really
6?
good it's a really good twist though, right? Because for like the first while you think Naho's the only one who's got this, and then like Naho reveals it to Sua, and then it's like Naho and Sua, and then there's like just really great twist where it's like they all have the letters from each other, and it's just a really good moment. It mirrors how Kakeru learns to rely on all of them, with also Naho learning to rely on more and more people.
That is true.
That's good.
I do like that.
It's a good little... It's tidy.
I will say that I still don't like Naho's letter to herself. And not for the reasons I mentioned earlier. It's just, they're not specific enough. They don't really give her the gravity of certain events. They just say, hey, this is what I was feeling at this time, so be sure to like reach out to him. And then she doesn't do it anyway, because she feels the same way that future Naho felt. And
yeah,
it's like
it's also good too, because it's like these are like, you know,
teenagers,
17-year-old teens, and it's just, and I like how she even says it's like, it's easy for you to say in the future that I should do it this way, but dude, this is really hard. I'm 17 and have these hormones. Please make it stop.
I don't know how to do these feels. This is too
is
much.
Very hard for me.
So much.
I'm doing the best I can back here.
I think I did write down at one point, like, future Naho says to past Naho, all you need to do is save Kakeru's heart by carrying all of his burdens for him and letting him use you as a support. And past Naho's like, I got my own crap to deal with. I don't know what to do with this guy. He won't even talk to me. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, poor Naho. She puts a lot on herself.
Oh my goodness.
Without meaning to. It's like, how about we're all in this together?
Future Naho should have put in a few notes, you know, about the gravity of the mom's suicide and saying that like that was the driving force behind everything. And if you can get him to open up about that, great. But also, she should have put in something like, hey, not just Sua, but like you should lean on all your friends, because not only do I have regrets about Kakeru, but I also have regrets about, you know, not being as close to my friends as I could have been. So, you know, learn from that.
Yeah, but that part is post Kakeru, and that's fair. Oh, and also future Naho does not actually have as much information as present Naho. Because future Naho doesn't even learn that like Kakeru's mom committed suicide till like after he died.
I mean, that's true. What I'm saying is when future Naho writes that letter, she's already talked to grandma and knows everything.
She has, but it seems like just once, right? So I don't think she herself has processed how interconnected everything was, as opposed to present Naho that like learns like episode 3. It's like she's grown close enough to Kakeru for Kakeru to confide in her.
Maybe, but she also puts in stupid details like, hey, this is the first day that Kakeru says something to me, which is important to her.
Well,
but
also,
that's kind of
in her diary, though.
Yeah, and that's kind of like a minor detail. But it's like,
yeah, but it was
hey,
in her diary.
Maybe you should like point out, you didn't know a whole lot about Kakeru, so maybe you should put in as much as you know and can muster into this letter. But again, she didn't know it was going to work, so whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of
hand waving.
6 one, half dozen the other. Do you want to break down the 3 main arcs of the of the show in general?
Go for it.
There's Ueda Cultural Festival, though those kind of bleed into each other. Athletics Festival, and then Climax. So the first large arc of the show is Kakeru going out with an upperclassman.
Yeah, which is ill-advised. And everybody knows it.
Everybody knows it. Especially when she is super lame. But everybody knows it's no good. Even her friends, even though both Azu and Takako initially think it's good for him to get together with Ueda Senpai.
And then you find out later that they had those letters at the time. And they were just like, yo.
Yeah, but they didn't.
We didn't think they were legit.
Yeah, they didn't really believe them at first. And theirs aren't as detailed as Naho's, so it's far more believable for them to be like, it's hard for them to match up as well.
I suppose that's correct.
Where Naho's big advantage is hers can sync up way faster because it has so much more detail. Where theirs are a lot more like, so Kakeru's gonna like kill himself, so try to not let that happen.
Apparently they all did say exactly when and where it was gonna happen though. Except, I don't think Naho's tells her where it happens, just when it happens. I don't think
that's possible.
But all the other ones knew exactly where it was gonna happen because they were like me and be like, hey, you should just write down when and where it happened and stop that.
Yeah, but that doesn't really fix the problem, though, right? Like, you really gotta, like, show somebody that you're in it together.
What you should do is get a guy to therapy.
I mean, that's very true. That is correct response. That is the correct solution here. Either way, Ueda Senpai is, how do you put this lightly?
Not nice.
Not nice. She's a bad person.
She's in it for herself.
You really get the feeling that the only reason she's going out with him is because he's the new star of the soccer team.
Yep, and she's hot, and she knows it. That's pretty much it.
And she bullies Naho real hard. But you do get Takako standing up to Ueda, and it's very good.
I did like that. Takako's one moment to shine.
Oh, yeah.
Good for you, Takako.
That sort of bleeds into the cultural festival where Naho is still being bullied by the now broken up with Ueda Senpai, and she's trying very hard to see the fireworks at the end of the cultural festival with Kakeru. And this does give you the first parts of Suwa being awesome by standing guard where they're going to meet to watch the fireworks.
And hopefully hold hands.
Yes.
So lewd. Holding hands.
It's very good.
What's wrong with that?
Also, Hagita straight up lying to Ueda to make her go away.
That was really awesome.
Which is very good.
Kakeru is actually heading over there. He said he'd meet you at the...
He's waiting for you.
Yeah, over there. Like, really far over there.
He was not. Over there, far away from everyone else.
Spoilers. The Athletic Festival, I think, was, like I said, is the best arc because it has the best scenes.
It's absolutely the strongest arc. It has the best scenes. It's really where Kakeru learns to trust the group. And it's really the first major thing that happens until the climax. Well, it's the last major thing that happens.
Yeah.
Because the climax is like 1.5 episodes. So, and the Athletics Festival is like 3.
Episode 10, which is the end of the Athletics Festival arc, has all the best stuff. You have the 3 main girls dressing up as cheerleaders and taunting the boys with the fact that they have short skirts, which is amazing.
And you have all the boys with their shirts off. Yes, please.
Yeah, because Sue is jacked.
And Hagita's got the best abs.
That are totally not permanent marker.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's got...
You got plenty of hot boys. You got plenty of, like, teenage angst.
Well, you've got the point of the show where they're all carrying that mat together, where it's first just Kakeru and Naho, and they're having a hard time holding it together, but they all join up so that Kakeru can let go of this burden and go take care of himself real quick.
It's very good.
Hey,
right?
Look, guys, it's the point of the show. It's right there.
Hey, you did it.
Then you had the relay race, and then you know that Suwa is main character, and why is this show not about him? Screw everybody else. Let's have a show about Suwa.
Let's have about Suwa. Suwa's the best.
And then we had the climax.
You do get the choice teenage angst, right? Where, like, Suwa hurt himself during one of the events with his shirt off, and Naho has to treat him, and Kakeru gets jealous but can't admit that he's jealous and gets mad at Naho.
Even though Naho's like, oh, you're hurt too. It's kind of a scratch, but I really want to touch your arms.
Yeah, and he's like, but Suwa has much better abs. It's like, yes, he does.
So I'm gonna go mope over there somewhere.
It's choice teenage angst. It's very believable.
Teenagers, I swear.
It's so good.
A lot of the climax didn't really feel believable to me. Not like the athletics part did.
I feel like they had to sort of pad it a little bit for the anime because, like, in the manga, it's a little bit shorter and more condensed. Also, for some reason, episode 13 is double length, so it really feels like it goes on.
Well, there's a couple things that are problematic for the climax. One is, well, this isn't problematic. This is amazing. We find out that Suwa got those pictures, and he's already committed to not admitting his feelings for Naho like he did in the original timeline. He knows when it's going to happen. He knows how to get her. He just has to be at a specific time and say pretty much specific words to her, and she's his, right?
It's not quite that simple.
Well,
but I get what you're saying.
So instead, he's like, no, I'm not even going to go to that thing. Instead, I'm going to go home. And then you find out that while he's skipping out, he's looking at pictures of him and future Naho and their child. And you're like, whoa, he has pictures and he's still not going to go and get what he knows can be his. Like, he's got balls of steel. And then he goes, and you think, oh, well, he's giving in to temptation. He knows that. No, he goes.
Oh, no.
And he's like, oh, you guys had a fight? Originally, I would have said, that's all right. I'll always be here for you. But here he's like, you know what? He's not going to hate you. He's just confused right now. Go to him. Go to him right now.
It's not just that, but it mirrors the... in the Suwa timeline, he says, "I'll always be here for you." But in Kakeru timeline, he says, "I'll always be here pushing you towards him." And you're like, Suwa, no. Why can you be so good?
The biggest problem for that episode for me was Kakeru's like 90% to 0% mood swings.
Yeah,
yeah. I'm really concerned about my grandma. Well, I'm sure your grandma will be fine. Well, I'm gonna go to her anyway. Well, would you like to stay here for just a little longer? I'd like to be with you. And suddenly he's like, no, get out of my face. I never want to talk to you again. Rah!
Well, you do get some explanation for that in episode 12, but yes.
Yeah. It's like, come on, really?
But also, I do agree, because especially after all the emotional growth from the previous arc, for him to just sort of like drop all that is a little tough. But you do see his side of the thing where it's just like, man, I screwed up, and I feel like if I interact with her more, I'm just going to dig myself in deeper, and she's thinking the same thing. So they just like both refuse to like fix it until she finally in episode 13 is like, look now, hold on. We're going to have this out and we're going to fix this like reasonable adults.
All they really had to do in that episode was, I know they're not going to do this for a teenage angst show, but in reality, what she should have done was just say, oh, well, can I go with you to see her? I'd like to meet her and be with you during this hard time. But instead, she has to stand there like a deer in headlights because hormones.
Yeah, because she's got all those feelings right now, and it's very hard.
I did like the Kakadu backstory. That was nice.
It was good.
It put a lot of context.
It's a very good description of the of sort of a depression spiral where you just start blaming yourself for one thing and it just keeps going.
And then the last episode, it was fine. I think it wrapped things up nicely. I would have liked to see what happened with the new timeline 10 years from now, like a glimpse.
And they do so the original run of the Orange manga is 2 volumes. But then a little bit later, she wrote one last chapter of Orange plus the side story where you see Suwa and Naho's relationship in the Suwa timeline. Mm-hmm. And in that, they give you that one last chapter of Orange is the Kakeru timeline 10 years in the future. So that's good.
Well, I guess I can go look up that if I want to. Because I really wanted to see Azu Hagita. That was the whole point of the show, I felt. Them and
they are the shadow couple. They are the shadow couple.
But the biggest problem is the last note I have here. Because, they've saved him. He's happy now. But I'm like, guys, can you hold up just one second? You know that he's still depressive and needs serious help. You need to, like, get him to somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, having you all is great. That's awesome. You should keep that up, definitely. But, he needs to be seen by someone.
Yeah. No, it's true. As one very small caveat to that, because all of that is, of course, true, Kakeru does have the big breakdown in saying it's like, I purposely have chosen to live now. That's sort of
which is great.
But
you know what happens with depression is it comes back around. Comes back. So
well, and again, I think that's one of the differences here is where I think his mom was definitely like clinically medically depressed. Mm-hmm. Kakeru is depressed in the other way, where it's a lot of like circumstances that have led to this.
Well,
rather than,
and
like,
he may have some like
problems,
latent,
but he still absolutely needs to go see a therapist.
Well, he may have like some latent predispositions to certain modes of thinking. So,
no, I agree.
Yeah,
but the sort of again, it's kind of a conceit where that admission is the signifier that things are fixed. Though again, depression and suicide are far more complex than just this. So he should get his ass into therapy ASAP still. Because you tell his grandma, and then you get him in therapy, and you fix it for real, while also being a very good and supportive group of friends.
Of course. So I think the last thing we should discuss is, was the time travel handled well or not? Because I think
it's 2 timelines, and it's a conceit of the show. Shut up.
Well, okay, if we're not going to talk about that specifically, I would like to ask...
No, you're good.
First of all, why was the chemistry teacher talking about time travel out of nowhere right after a chemistry test? But second of all, why is it Okabe from Steins Gate?
He is Okabe from Steins Gate.
The moment I saw him, I'm like, he looks kind of familiar, but then when he started talking about time travel, I'm like, it's Okabe from Steins Gate. I know how this ends.
That's why. That's why he can do it. I see now. I feel like that brain expanding meme. You're absolutely right. Well, having been a substitute teacher, I totally sympathize with this because you're like, well, somebody brought up being able to go back in time. We have free time. I'm interested in this on a personal level, so let me just lecture about it because we still have 45 minutes. Because this is absolutely something one would do. Where it's just like, you guys seem interested in this. Let me tell you about it because it's a hobby of mine.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not saying it was aliens, but let me tell you about aliens and the Illuminati and flat Earth.
Well, and what was great, just humorous for me at least, that he brings up, oh yeah, you can't really time travel because there's no time travel machine, but theoretically there are parallel worlds out there, and okay, sure, that's what the show's going with. And you can maybe get to them through a black hole or something, but blah, blah, blah. And then in the future, the guys are talking about how do we send stuff in the past, like, well, what about black holes? And someone's like, yeah, I think some Swiss scientists a couple of years ago found a black hole in like the Atlantic Ocean or something. Oh yeah, there's one in the Bermuda Triangle too, I heard. Well, why don't we chuck some letters in the ocean and maybe they'll fall in? Yeah, it's a good idea. Let's try that. It's like, okay, well, there is so much wrong with what you said there.
It's mostly Hagita. It's like, so this is like an urban legend about this, but it's wrong. Y'all are stupid. This won't work. And they're like, oh, have some fun, Hagita. Well, because like canonically, Hagita grows up to be a doctor, so he's like smart, and he's just like, look, this won't work, and it's a waste of time. And everybody's like, yeah, but it would be fun though, and make us feel better. And he's like, y'all are stupid, but okay. Also, I love how they always call it a time slip, and it delights me.
The thing about throwing letters in the ocean and maybe they'll go back in time is one thing. That's like you said, maybe it'll make us feel better thing.
Yeah.
But the thing about maybe there's a black hole on Earth. It's over there. See it? It's in the ocean. Because things disappear in the ocean, like ships. Because black holes are there.
Now, okay, hold on.
It's like the author never actually looked up what a black hole was.
One more thing in my defense. Now, this all seems really absurd that anybody would possibly believe this, but I think I remember 4 or 5 years ago when there was a real life human being anchor on CNN saying that a plane disappeared in a black hole once.
I don't recall this.
You don't?
I don't.
You remember when the Malaysian flight disappeared?
I remember that, but black hole?
Yes, 100% real on air. A real life journalist anchor said this.
I just started typing CNN black hole and auto-completed a black hole plane.
Absolutely. This is a real life human being thing that happened.
CNN's Don Lemon asks, is a black hole responsible for the missing Jess?
Yep. In all seriousness.
Oh
so
goodness.
Let's give these 20-year-olds who kind of heard this in a class once 10 years ago a little bit of slack if a real-life human quote-unquote journalist can say this in all seriousness.
Okay, I'll cut some slack on that. I'll grant you that.
I mean, not much slack, but
I will ask one final question.
Sure.
If you are going to write a letter to yourself in the past, just on hopes and dreams alone, and you think, who knows, maybe it could work. Why don't you slip in at the end, like after you saved him and everything?
Winning lotto numbers?
Here's some lotto numbers and some stocks to check out. Just FYI, if this other stuff doesn't work out, maybe this will work out instead.
Just give him the full Biff Tannen treatment?
Yeah. It's like, if you can't save him, at least you're set for life now.
How do we know they didn't?
I guess she didn't read the whole letter, did she? So who knows?
Maybe that's where she got the knit design for that shawl. She sent it to herself. Her like old lady shawl.
She's only 28. Why does she have an old lady
Her
shawl?
old lady shawl. She does look very cute in it, but still, it's an old lady shawl.
So what should we watch for next time?
Now that is a very excellent question.
Now, granted, next time we release is going to be right around Halloween.
Oh, what spoopy do we have?
I kind of like doing Yamishibai.
I guess we can do the old-fashioned thing where we... Well, no, I guess we could just both watch all of Season 6, to be honest.
And just pick out the best ones that we thought were cool.
But yeah, I guess we can just watch all of Season 6 of Yamishibai and just talk about ones that seem good.
So for next time, I think we're going to watch all of the 6th season of Yamishibai, which I'm pretty sure is on Crunchyroll.
Oh yeah, of course it is.
Of course it is.
Kidding me?
Yeah, because it's spoopy.
Spoopy!
Such spoop. So we will see you then.